How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running its Days of Play and games under $20 sale. We already did a video looking at deals under $5, and now we're gonna up the budget a little bit, but we're still gonna have a budget. We're gonna look at games under $10. So, a lot of great deals to go over under $10. I'm not mentioning everything in this video. I saw some other deals like Pyre I saw for $6. And some other smaller titles, but have 15 games to go over, so let's just get right into it. I want to start things off with .hack GU Last Recode, 84% off for $7.99, which this is a fantastic deal. Guys, back in the day on the PlayStation 2, when they were churning out the .hack GU games, you had to buy each game you had to buy each game, obviously, and then each game was like 40 bucks a pop, and now you're getting the entire collection upgraded, 4th episode, extra content, $8 for it. Is such a good deal. You know, this is a JRPG that definitely shows its age a little bit, all three of them. You've got some stiff animations, however, I think the story is so strong, I think the characters are strong. The gameplay is enjoyable, albeit a bit repetitive at times, but for $8 to get all this content, I think is a steal. And if you're even remotely a JRPG fan, this is one that I imagine a lot of you guys missed out on just because, you know, .hack GU's heyday was in the mid-2000s, so it's quite a bit old, but $8 for this collection is great. Alright, next up, another collection, Batman Arkham Collection. If you're a Plus subscriber, it's $8.99. I already mentioned Batman Arkham Knight in the games under $5 video, but this collection is just a tremendous deal. If you never played Batman Arkham, or maybe you played Arkham Asylum and Arkham City on the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 and you want to revisit the game, this is a great way to do so. All three games are fantastic. Arkham Asylum was just such a blowaway game back in 2009. I remember the rhetoric going into the release of that game because, you know, superhero games did not have a good track record at that time for being good, and people were memeing on Arkham Asylum, being like, yo, this game is memes, it's not gonna be good, and then Arkham Asylum just blew everyone away. It was a tremendous game. Arkham City built upon that, and Arkham Knight was a fairly good game as well, and all three for $9 is such a great deal. Just three awesome action-adventure games, and all of them have a decent bit of content. Yes, Arkham Asylum is more of a contained experience, but still very good, and the other two games obviously open up the franchise quite a bit. Alright, next up, I want to give a shout out to Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Trilogy, which is 75% off for $9.99. Now, I thought this was a good recommendation because Storm 4 is actually going to be a part of Plus Premium. As far as we know, the trilogy is not. So, the trilogy includes Storm 1, 2, and 3. Storm 1, mechanically, from a gameplay standpoint, is really good. Unfortunately, the single player is lacking quite a bit. Storm 2 single player is awesome. It takes you through the beginning of Shippuden up until the Pain fight, and then there's some secret content as well. And then Storm 3 is a little bit wacky, but still very, very good. Wacky from a story standpoint, but it's still really good. Yeah, I like Naruto. You guys know me. Naruto's like the anime I grew up with, so whenever I can give Storm a shout, I'm gonna do that, and this collection is a great price at $9.99. Alright, next up, Dishonored 2, 75% off for $7.49, another excellent deal. Dishonored 2 is a substantial bump up from the original Dishonored, and I loved Dishonored back in the day. Paid $60 for it when it came out, but Dishonored 2 was a stronger game. You've got two playable characters, so a little bit of replayability. And the game itself is incredibly strong. You have a variety of different ways to tackle the gameplay. The art style is great. Narratively, it's really good. I do recommend with Dishonored to take more of the stealth approach, and I think that's how you get the most rewarding experience, but that's my opinion. You can play it how you want to. $7.49 is a great deal, however, and would strongly recommend it. Next up, we have Ninja Theory's DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition, 75% off for $9.99. You know, this is a game that back in the day definitely got its fair share of flack just because of the redesign, and I think a lot of people just wanted what Devil May Cry 5 was, but if you just ignore Devil May Cry in the title of this game and go into it, you know, looking for an enjoyable action title, I think you're gonna have fun with DMC Devil May Cry. I mean, at the end of the day, this is Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory puts out bangers left and right, and DMC Devil May Cry is really no different, and you're probably gonna have a pretty good time with it. Visually, obviously, it shows its age quite a bit, even with this Definitive Edition. It is initially a PS3 title, so keep your expectations in line, but I thought, you know, $9.99 for it was pretty good. Next up, we have A Plague Tale Innocent, 75% off for $9.99. Now, this was recently a PlayStation Plus title, so, you know, you probably could have gotten it from that, but I believe it was just the PS5 version that was a Plus title. Nonetheless, Plague Tale Innocent is tremendous. It's an incredibly atmospheric game and a narrative-driven game. You're going into this game for the story, and that is the biggest drawing factor of the game. The story and the atmosphere. I think the presentation is incredibly strong. And the thing is, this is a narrative-driven game, but it does a really good job of hooking you into said narrative within like a half hour. Like, you're gonna get pretty into the game and what it's going for pretty quickly. Of course, we are coming up on the release of A Plague Tale Requiem. Hopefully that's out, you know, within the next couple of months. Maybe in the fall or something like that. I don't know exactly what the release date is, but excited for that. And for now, A Plague Tale Innocence, if you've never checked it out, $9.99 I think is a good price if you're looking for something a little bit more narrative-driven, atmospheric. You're gonna have a good time with this one. Maybe I shouldn't say a good time. It's a pretty dark game, so bear that in mind. Next up, we have Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch Remastered, 80% off for $9.99. This is a JRPG I often recommend, especially to those of you that aren't the biggest fans of JRPGs or maybe just haven't given the genre a chance. I feel like this is a game you can get into. It's got a fantastic art style. That Studio Ghibli art style is something that, you know, anybody can get into. You don't have to be into Japanese games. You don't have to be into video games at all to appreciate a Studio Ghibli art style, and obviously that's more akin to movies anyway, but Ni no Kuni is a great game from a gameplay standpoint. Story is great, and again, pretty engaging to all audiences, in my opinion, and sub $10, I think that's a no-brainer there. Next up, we have Middle-earth Shadow of War Definitive Edition, 85% off for $8.99. Another excellent deal here. You know, we see this for $9 quite often, but whenever it's available for $9, I feel like a recommendation is due. Not only do you get the base game, you get a bunch of story expansions, you get some Nemesis expansions as well. And the game itself is very good. It's just a refined upgrade from Shadow of Mordor. Obviously, play Shadow of Mordor first. That game's on sale as well. But then jump into Shadow of War, and it is an improved game. Incredibly satisfying gameplay. Visuals are solid, and overall, quite a good game. Narratively, pretty good as well. So $9 for it is a solid pickup. And as I've mentioned, not a big Lord of the Rings guy or anything like that, but still had a fantastic time with both Mordor and Shadow of War. Next up, we got Alien Isolation, The Collection. This was one of the early games on the PlayStation 4, came out back in like 2014, and I remember having a really good time with it. And I'm not like a huge fan of horror games, but this one is another game that has a great atmosphere, and I feel like with a horror game that's going for, you know, traditional horror roots, you gotta have a good atmosphere, and I feel like Alien Isolation really did have that. It's not the lengthiest game in the world, but a solid pickup, and again, if you want a quality horror title, survival horror game, you're gonna have a good time with it, and this version includes some additional DLC as well. I believe we've seen it like a bit cheaper, but $9.99 is still close to the cheapest we've seen. Next up, we got Okami HD, 50% off for $9.99. I always like to give this a recommendation, and this doesn't really get below $10. I believe it's been like $7.99 before, but $9.99 is still a great price. And not only do you get a great game when you pick up Okami HD, you fuel Capcom for maybe one day bringing out Okami 2. And I know some people in the comment section often say, yo, they did Okami Den on the DS. Yes, I played Okami Den, but you know, like, it was a DS game at the end of the day. Okami HD is tremendous. It's an upgrade from Okami on the PlayStation 2, and Okami on the PlayStation 2 already held up pretty well, just because it employed this phenomenal art style. It just looks fantastic, even being, what, 17 years old at this point? I think it came out in 2005 initially. It's revered as one of the best PlayStation 2 games of all time, and when you look at the PS2's library, that says quite a lot, and the game itself is great. Has some, you know, a lot of people will compare it to, like, Legend of Zelda style gameplay, and, yeah, just a great game, and $9.99 is a fantastic pickup. Next up, we have Vanquish, 60% off for $9.99. Now, I do often recommend the Vanquish and Bayonetta collection, so if you want to get Bayonetta as well, that collection usually goes on sale for, like, $16, so you'd pay another $6 to get Bayonetta, so bear that in mind. Otherwise, if you're just looking to play Vanquish, if you've never played Vanquish in the past, highly, highly recommend it. Now, it's an incredibly short game, but it's a Platinum Games title, true, like, in the purest sense, in the sense that it's over-the-top action gameplay. Honestly, it takes your Platinum Games over-the-top action gameplay and steps it up one level. Vanquish is just such a wild game, and for the duration that you're gonna play it for, the 6 hours or whatever, It is just an absolute thrill ride. The narrative is just comedy at points, but you're getting into this for the gameplay, and it's a super stylish game, and for $9.99, I think it's a good pickup. Again, it's a super short game, but still very much worth it in my opinion. Next up, we have Zone of the Enders, the second runner. Zone of the Enders is one of those games that, you know, it came out back in the PlayStation 2 era, didn't get a lot of buzz back then, and, you know, it was kind of interesting to see that they did drop this second runner edition. Unfortunately, it's not the collection that we had on PlayStation 3, but if you want a mecha action title, you know, there's not a lot of these in the market these days, so this is a pretty good one. You know, definitely shows its age quite a bit, but you do have 4K visuals, and visually, it looks okay. It looks good enough, and there is a VR component to it as well if you want to check that out. $7.49, I think, is the perfect price for it, so if you want a mecha action game, not a bad one to check out. Next up, we have Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition. Horrendous name aside, I really had a great time with Red Faction Guerrilla. Another game I played initially when it came out back in, I want to say, June of 2009. I think this came out right around the time of Infamous 1. You know, this is a game that I feel like embodies that fun factor to a T. The story is what it is, like, it's kind of cliche, but the gameplay is so much fun. Just running around with a sledgehammer, bashing walls. Like, I mean, if that doesn't sound fun to you, like, I don't really know what to say at that point. Explosions galore, and yeah. Nice open world here. It's a little bit of an older open world, excuse me, so, you know, the open worlds these days have obviously outpaced what Red Faction Guerrilla is going to offer you, but it's still a lot of fun, and for $6, I think it's a pretty solid pickup. Next up, we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, 70% off for $8.99. I actually just re-downloaded this on my PS5 because I want to give it another playthrough, just because I played it initially when it came out, and I think I did one other playthrough after that, but I don't remember the game as much as I want to, but I remember having a great time with it. Huge open world in this game. Visually looks solid. I remember really enjoying the narrative as well, and it's that Assassin's Creed gameplay that, you know, I am a big fan of. You know, there's a good bit of content in here as well, so it'll keep you busy for a while, and if you are a fan of the older Assassin's Creed style games, you know, Syndicate's one of those games a lot of people missed out on, and just because it came out after Unity, the franchise had gotten a bit stale for some people, but Syndicate ended up being a really solid game that unfortunately a lot of people didn't check out, so for $9, I think it's a pretty good buy. Go check that out. And then lastly, I do want to give a shout out to Burnout Paradise Remastered. That is 70% off for $5.99. Definitely shows its age quite a bit. The game initially came out in January of 2008, so you're literally talking about a game north of 14 years old, but still an incredibly enjoyable arcade racer. Great soundtrack here as well. You know, as far as licensed music goes, it's always going to be 50-50 for some people, as far as, you know, everybody's music tastes are subjective, but Burnout Paradise I thought had a really solid soundtrack and a lot of content in the game as well. It's a game where you could just mentally check out and have a good time, you know, going through the open world, doing the content, and listening to the music that's in the game. I think it's a good time, and $6 for it I think is a great pickup. But that is going to do it for me. As always, links to all of these deals will be in the description box below. You can check them out there. You can pick them up on the PlayStation Store yourself, or you could buy it through the PlayStation Store's browser. Whatever you want to do, that's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.